Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday. We're doing our sixth stream today, and just I actually had a request, so I'm gonna go ahead and move past what I was planning on doing today, so that we can actually talk about what is acceptable to do in the game and what is not acceptable to do in the game. And I think the reason why this is important is because in new servers, it's really important that you know what is allowed and what isn't allowed so that you can be part of the community, be one of the members of the community that everybody enjoys being around and talking to. But real quick, before we get into that, today's shout out of the day goes to Flynn. In the game, Flynn is my nephew. And I have to say, Flynn is just adorable. He actually portrays the character Flynn Rider from Tangled, and I absolutely love it because he's able to stay in character, and it's just really cool. And when you actually get into a game like this and you find people who role play characters that you're familiar with in a way that you know those characters would be portrayed in the movie, the show, whatever, it's just that much better. And I get such a kick out of it because for me, I love role playing. Not as good at it as I used to be, but it's awesome. It's fun. So, thank you, Flynn, for being awesome and being yourself and being a kick butt role player. Okay, so we'll move on to today's topics, which is pretty much malice and kindness. What is allowed and what isn't allowed. So, you would never go over to your friend's house and steal from your friend. It's the same concept in the game. So, I want to show you some stuff real quick. When you have your character in royal household, one of the things you should know is you can go in and you can find yourself, and as long as you have stuff that you can collect, you can claim it. I typically just let it run out. Most people let it run out. You can also get boosts. I think they cost too much money to buy. So if you get a boost from special events or anything, know that you can use those. So I'm going to use my 30-minute boost here, and as you can see, gave me lots of nice stuff. So I'm just going to claim that real quick. Now, I'm going to go into the advanced warehouse. So when you're in the advanced warehouse, certain things to note: if somebody has a timer, it means that they are still working on collecting their items. Do not mess with people who have a timer on. If you go in And you'll see these two buttons, expel and loot. If you loot from royal household, you are being a pain in the butt. Nobody likes to be stolen from, and this actually will cause wars between people. Currently, there is a character well, not just one. There's a couple people in 43 who are causing a lot of problems because they are looting from the royal household. They're also looting from people's mansions, and they are becoming extremely unpopular very quick, to the point where their faction leaders are being notified of what they're doing. And one of the things that a faction leader will do, if you get reported on too many times for stealing from royal household or stealing from somebody else or doing any of the malice acts, you can become factionless. You will become factionless eventually, because nobody wants to put up with that. And it's kind of good to keep your faction happy and on your side, because there's so much that you actually do depend on your faction to help you out with. Now, one other thing to note is, you see how this person has no timer? That means that they've collected everything that they can. One of the things that is allowed is, if the timer is completely done like this, you can click on it and you can expel them from the seat that they're in. What this does is it allows them to collect all of their items without having any issues. It will just show up in their mailbox, their royal household items. Do not do this if they do have a timer, because if somebody does have a timer going and you expel them, it means they have to go back into the royal household and they have to find a seat again and start over again. Whatever items they have collected, they'll still get, but it's kind of rude to expel somebody who still has a timer going. So keep that in mind. Timer is done, it's okay. They get all of their stuff. Timer is still going, you're being a pain in the rump. And nobody wants to be a pain in the rump. Nobody wants to be unpopular within the game, because then you don't get any of the other benefits and people will actually beat up on you. I'm going to show you some more. If you go into authority and then interact, you get all of your interactions. So you can see where kindness and malice are done separately. I actually created a second account specifically so I can show you what happens. So first of all, let me find that account. Okay. Come on. No, that's not it. Okay. I will find it. Okay, so I can't find it, but there's a couple different ways to get there, and no. Okay, so let's start with greet. I'm gonna go greet my wife in game, Snowbird. So, greet you don't need any items for. You just go and pay your respects to that person. If you actually know a little bit about your Oriental history, you'll know that it was very normal for the consorts of the palace to pay their respects to other consorts. And that was kind of how they ended up having all their allies and such, because if you were friends, you would help each other out, and they would also help you get revenge on your enemies, which is kind of why their history is so interesting, especially because there was a lot of competition over heirs and who would rise to the throne and become the emperor or empress. If you ever have a chance to look at the Chinese and Japanese histories, it's really good. And know that just because they're in the same area, the histories are actually really different. There's an entire different type of living that happens. So, doing a kindness in the game is going to help you gain fame. So, if I visit Snowbird, you can see where she's going to get 50 charm, and so am I. And then my character is going to get 200 XP, and I get an additional 55 fame. This will increase depending on what items you use. So, we'll go over here. I was in visit. So, I'm going to make a Christmas tree real quick. And you can do this very quickly, very easily. So, I always try to go for the highest rated items so that I can get the most fame and the most charm. So, once you're done, you can see once again how I got my fame and charm and XP, and then both of us got an additional intimacy because we're married and playmates. And then you can also see where she got some charm. Now, the other part, when you're visiting your friends or visiting anyone really, if you go over to the planners, you can collect the bugs. That is 100% perfectly acceptable. However, if you come over here and you see that somebody has stuff, if you hit steal, that means you're stealing from what they are allowed to collect. And the problem with stealing from what they're allowed to collect is if they have something that has a long timetable to collect, it's going to become really upsetting. So you can see that I have refined steel right now. I also have my white marble. White marble is extremely hard to collect because it's not something that you can set for collection. You kind of have to get the luck of the draw with it. And we'll go into a sign. So, as you can see, it takes almost a full 3 hours to collect one or just a few pieces of the refined steel. You also see how the black gold takes just over 13 hours to collect. When you are stealing things when you're stealing things that it takes forever to collect, you are creating your own enemies, and you will end up getting hit by entire factions for stealing, especially if you do it multiple times, because stealing from somebody, especially when it's a rare item, is it's like going to your mom's house and stealing money out of her purse. You just don't do it. Otherwise, you end up not welcome at your mom's house. So, when you are visiting other people within the game, make sure that you treat their homes with respect and treat them with respect, because that's the only way you're going to continue to make friends in the game. Let's see. So, another thing, with the Malice and Kindness, you're going to find the items that you can make in under the crafting, under the interact tab. One of the good things about what you can craft within the crafting is it will give you very specific actions. So if I want to poison somebody or somebody poison me, so if someone poisoned me, I typically would make the element do. This is actually a detox item. It helps you get rid of poison if you've been poisoned, and you craft it. One of the things about the items for a lot of the detox items is you can't collect them, you can't set them together automatically. You kind of have to get the luck of the draw with these too. But with things like the diligence powder, if you need to obtain the coral snakes, you can obtain them in hunting. Or, no, not that one. But there are items that you can collect, like the toad and the centipedes. The toad and the centipedes are used a lot for poisons. So, go back to our poison and pay attention to what each thing does, because that's how you're going to be able to know what items you can use and what items you don't want to use. Another thing that you want to remember is it is 100% okay to craft the Malice and Kindness items, because all that's going to do is increase your ability to craft, which is not going to hurt you. And then there's also some mentor quests that you can do that will say collect 300 restraint powders. So you can go and you can craft the restraint powder, and then you can turn it into your mentor, and you can get the apprentice points and use the apprentice points to buy fame or buy skill books. And that's pretty much the only reason why I will actually craft poisons and spells and such, is because it doesn't hurt to have your crafting level up at all. And if you can turn things into your mentor or sell them right out of your backpack, it's going to do a lot more for you that's good than bad. Now, under the spells, most of the pills, if it has the name pill in the name, word pill in the name, it's going to be an anti-spell item. You'll use these items to get rid of spells that have been cast on you. And again, crafting them isn't going to hurt you. And it's also a good way to get silver. So when you go into your backpack, go all the way, you can sell anything in your backpack. You can sell in bulk and go, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that. Confirm. Okay, yes, I will take that. Or you can click on each individual item and say, okay, I'm going to sell all these because I'm not going to use them because I have the sandalwood. And the sandalwood gives me more points. So those are all good to pay attention to and great ways to get extra silver. Some people have a hard time keeping silver, and it's typically because they can't get on in the evening during some of the daily events like boss battle and worship and such, because they have lives, they need to sleep. Not everybody is capable of being on for those events. So if you can't be on for those events, this is a great way to get money for free and not have to worry. So let's switch back to authority. I want to show you what some of the Malice does. So try here. Okay, there's Fluffy Duck. This is the alt I made, so that I can show you how to do all this stuff. So, when you pinch someone, it does several different things. First of all, it bruises their face and makes them look ugly when you go look at their profile picture. But as you can see, it also takes away fame. So Fluffy Duck lost 17 fame, and I got 3 fame, but you can see how it might cause a problem because you're basically stealing their fame. And then also, when you pinch someone, if they try to talk in chat, they end up talking with with a lisp, and the lisp is very confusing to some people, and they're like, why am I talking funny? Why won't it let me talk right? It's the same as catching a curse, except the curses from the community boxes don't decrease your fame at all. This actually does more than just damage the player. It also affects their rankings within each title. So if you go and you say, I'm gonna go poison, and you go to their house, and this is one thing that I typically pay attention to, is the scapegoat. If somebody uses a scapegoat and say it's from your own faction, you know it wasn't somebody in your faction actually poisoning you. So that can cause problems. Typically when people use a scapegoat, they're trying not to get caught. And Shorong, I'm sorry, you've never done anything to me, and I'm not going to do anything back because Fluffy Duck is my character that I created for doing things like this, just to show you've never done anything bad. This is nothing against you. I promise, promise, promise. So, when someone gets poisoned, you see, they lost fame. I don't know what reflection is, but I'm pretty sure it's not something that you really want to happen. And then, as you can see, I still gained a little fame from Fluffy Duck, but it's negligible. It's not going to add up in the long run. If I had done this to anybody else in the game, it would cause a fight between me and that player. And depending on how much fame is taken away and what all is happening between players, this could actually start faction wars sometimes. And those faction wars, nobody ends up being the winner. Everybody ends up losing in the end. And who wants to lose? Nobody. We're all here to have fun. This is supposed to be an escape from the bad stuff in life. It's a game. We're supposed to have fun. We're supposed to be cheering each other on, teasing each other, but in a way that helps everybody kind of just break away from reality. So, and I am going to show you the other side probably next week, because I need to get Fluffy Duck up high enough level that I can show you what to do if you do get poisoned, if you do get spelled. Because there are ways to recover fame if you do get spelled, if you do get poisoned. Because the programmers were at least awesome enough to give us a chance to go, wait, no, I don't want that to happen. So, thank you, Gamer Gods, for giving us a chance to stop the bad stuff from happening. But if somebody is already spelled and you try to go spell them, well, typically that doesn't happen. Typically a spell does not succeed twice in a row. It will say, this player has had enough for the day. Try to show a little compassion. And I might be able to show you that. So, everything on the left side of the screen when you're looking at these is malice. You see how the word malice is red? Red means stop. Okay, we all know this from traffic school. Green means go, which is kindness is green, malice is red. You know red means stop, you know green means go. So don't malice people. If you challenge somebody, and I'm going to show you a couple different things, but it shows you how much fame can be obtained and how much would be deducted. And no, it's not going to show. But if you succeed, this is going to do a whole lot of damage to fame. And when you lose a lot of fame, it actually affects your rating in a way, because depending on how much fame you are, depends on what place you have in let's see, if you go to court. So when you're in court, you know that you're competing with other people. Your fame affects what your ranking is. So as you can see right now, I'm in 3rd place. And you can see that because I'm in the top 3, I get a boost to my HP. That 8.75% is a big deal, because that's a bonus that I can't have unless I'm in the top 3. That means everybody else who's below the top 3 does not get any bonuses. Now, if you go in and you compete, competing is okay because it doesn't remove any fame from the player. It's one of those things that's in there so that you can gain more fame. And you can see 2,420. That's a decent amount of fame to gain. And as long as you're only hitting compete, it's okay. But the second you use any of these malices, and you can see that challenge, if you click on it, you have to approve that you are actually making a challenge to them. And you can see that it's going to reduce their fame. Do not reduce other people's fame. Yeah. I'm starting to sound like a broken record, I know. But let's see. I really want it to pop up that Fluffy Duck has had enough. So we're going to go back. And when you compete in court, after you gain a certain amount of fame, you can collect the little chest. Always collect that little chest, because I don't think that chest actually shows up. So we're back in Fluffy Duck's place. So, okay. If you... Fluffy Duck finally has some stuff that can be stolen. So, if I steal, that means that's one less of the grass carp that Fluffy Duck can collect. And I've actually had it where I was collecting the bream fish, which takes 24 hours to collect, and people have stolen that from me. And it's because it takes so long to collect them that I would get so upset when somebody stole that from me, because it makes me feel like they're being lazy. And if someone's being lazy and just stealing all your stuff all the time, most people are going to get angry. And when they get angry, then they'll start going back to the malice. And it's frustrating because you're trying to get what you need from the game. And, okay, if you can't get what you need because people are stealing from you, you end up reaching out. And this is one of the reasons why people are in factions, is because if you're not strong enough to retaliate after somebody has done you wrong so many times, when you talk to your faction, everybody becomes protective. Everybody's very protective of other faction members and tend to help when you've been wronged. And the more times you've been wronged, the more and more help you end up getting. So that's one of the reasons why I love being in a faction, is helping people. And then you also have backup whenever you need the backup. Especially if you're really active in your faction and really active in talking within your faction. And here's the little screen I was waiting to come up. So, went to challenge Fluffy Duck again. It says he's had enough for one day. Cut him some slack. You will not get as much fame if you continue challenging. Are you sure you want to continue? And you can also see where it's not going to deduct nearly as much. After somebody has been hit so many times in a day, or if they keep getting hit day after day after day after day, it's going to tell you, hey, give them a break. People have been beating up on them too much. You'll also see that the challenge tokens are 2 different tokens. You have the one that you can craft, and then you also have this one that you kind of have to buy, and it's 100 gold ingot a piece. So typically the only reason I would buy this token is if somebody had attacked 5 or 6 times after and have been told 5 to 6 times, stop stealing, stop attacking, stop malicing. This is stupid. You're not doing anything right for anyone. But no, sometimes you really do have to cut people some slack because it's a game. But also at the same time, if they are continuously, if they've made it a habit to do all this malice stuff to you, then it's really important that you're able to say, hey, look, this happened to me. One of the things I actually do get a kick out of is the messages. So let's find Fluffy Duck. And you can pick any place. I'm just going to throw it in the market because it's the market. It's easy to get to. And the thing is, if you are spreading a rumor, you actually have to show up to these community boards to send out. So when you actually do go and spread a rumor, there's all sorts of rumors you can spread. Sometimes I'll just refresh until I find one I like. This player is a snub who always bribes the officials. Okay. Awesome. Let's post it. You see it spreading. You see that it reduces their fame and it increases your fame. Here's the other part, is it gets announced in World Chat. And people have a chance to either spread or debunk it. If they spread it, it increases the impact. If they debunk it, it decreases the impact. So, say the same person has been stealing from you 5-6 times, and you decide to spread a rumor about them, and everybody else in World Chat knows that this player has been hassling you, the more people you get to hit spread,